Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Before you step out, you might want to bring a jacket and an umbrella. Today's the coldest day of the week, and there's chances of rain across the Front Range. But this Friday's looking pretty great, so hey, something to look forward to. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, you'll get the backstory on a local case that will be heard at the U.S. Supreme Court tomorrow.
And for advocates of the LGBTQ community, they're very worried that if Colorado's law gets overturned, it could roll back protections for LGBTQ youth across the country.
Then, Trump plans to charge employers $100,000 to get visas for some foreign workers. But some of those employers here are schools.
We would not be able to pay that. $100,000 is more than 2 salaries for our teachers.
And imagine being plucked from the street to open at Red Rocks.
I was doing what I always do. I was just playing music, and I saw this group of guys walk by.
You'll find out what hugely successful band discovered him.
It's Monday, October 6th. Here's the news in Colorado today.
Supreme Court justices hear a case tomorrow about a Colorado law. 6 years ago, Colorado banned conversion therapy for minors. Licensed therapists can't try to change a young person's sexual orientation or gender identity or expression. Now, a counselor is challenging the ban, saying it violates her free speech. CPR's Benta Berkland is reporting on this. Benta, was this legislation contentious when it passed the State House back in 2019?
There was certainly opposition, but it wasn't a high-temper situation, and it only applies to licensed practitioners. So lawmakers made a carve-out where families that wanted to try a different approach, like speaking with a faith leader or a family friend for informal counseling, could still do that. One reason it wasn't a topic where tempers flared was because the bill passed after 5 tries, so lawmakers were very familiar with the issue at that point, and also a few Republicans backed it.
Let's talk for a minute about why Colorado lawmakers banned conversion therapy in the first place. Major psychology groups say the practice lacks scientific evidence to support it and that it's harmful. Benta, you spoke with someone who went through conversion therapy.
Yes, I talked to Brad Allen Rubendale. He went through conversion therapy voluntarily as an adult when he was 19. So had Colorado's ban been in place, it wouldn't have impacted him. But he said he really doesn't want anyone else, especially youth, to experience what he went through.
It takes your own internalized homophobia and then turns your own mind against yourself by giving a framework that sounds reasonable.
And when Colorado's law passed, there were people who testified in favor of conversion therapy. They opposed banning it. And this is kind of a preview of what we're seeing this week, where conservatives are challenging the ban at the Supreme Court.
The plaintiff in this case is Kaylee Childs, who's a therapist in Colorado Springs. Let's hear from her. Here she is in a video produced by the legal group representing her, talking about how she sees clients who seek out, quote, conversations to clarify their goals and values.
And to identify the ways in which they would like to live a life that is more fulfilling and more satisfying and more in line with who God created them to be.
One thing I really want to underscore here is that this is a preemptive challenge. Childs has not lost her license to practice or been disciplined by the state. It's not even clear if she sees minor clients seeking out conversion therapy.
And still, she says the ban violates her freedom of speech. What will be debated at the Supreme Court?
The key legal question is whether this type of therapy is considered speech covered by the First Amendment or a medical practice that can be regulated. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser's office is defending the state's law. He said talk therapy by a licensed therapist is a medical practice.
Colorado, like every state, regulates substandard care through its malpractice laws and through a licensing system that says if you're providing care that is harmful, you can be disciplined for it.
The conservative legal powerhouse Alliance Defending Freedom is representing the therapist. Attorney Jake Warner is with ADF and working on the case.
Just because a state wants to label speech something different, whether it's conduct or treatments or anything else, the First Amendment, all it deals with is speech. It doesn't make exceptions for other kinds of speech.
Warner, again, with the Alliance Defending Freedom, which has had success in recent years at the Supreme Court and worked on cases out of Colorado that pit religious beliefs against LGBTQ protections. Benta, there are currently more than 20 states that ban conversion therapy. So is it safe to say that this case will have impact beyond Colorado?
Absolutely. And for advocates of the LGBTQ community, they're very worried that if Colorado's law gets overturned, it could roll back protections for LGBTQ youth across the country. I talked to one person who told me the worst thing that could happen is for the Supreme Court to view these laws through some sort of current politicized lens. I think all sides on this issue recognize we're so divided now, but Alliance Defending Freedom does have some high-profile backers, including the federal government and the Trump administration.
CPR's Benta Birkeland, thanks for your reporting.
Thanks for having me.
You can learn more about the case in our politics podcast, Purplish. Speaking of which, Purplish is a finalist for a Signal Award, and you can help them win a Listener's Choice honor. Head to vote.signalawards.com and cast your ballot for Purplish in the local news show category. School districts in Colorado stand to lose hundreds of qualified teachers because of a change in visa rules under the Trump administration.
We have a teacher shortage.
Sandra Ray is the superintendent of the Revere School District.
Not everybody wants to live in rural corner of Colorado near Nebraska.
Her school district is one of several that hire people from abroad to fill the gap. CPR education reporter Jenny Brundin joins us now. Jenny, we've heard about visa changes impacting tech companies, but this is also a serious challenge for schools.
Right. So the visas we're talking about are H-1B visas. Those are for skilled professionals, people who have higher education in their home countries. Employers can hire these folks for temporary specialized jobs. Trump has put a much larger fee on them. We're talking $100,000. Now, schools have been using these visas for well over a decade to help place teachers from abroad in hard-to-fill positions. For example, Ray had a science teaching position open for 4 years. Then someone finally applied, and Ray hired this teacher from the Philippines, and she doesn't want to see the teacher have to leave.
It would definitely make our school suffer because she has been phenomenal.
How many districts, how many teachers could be impacted here in Colorado?
Well, I didn't hear back from every district, but the biggest number of H-1B visa holders is in Denver. The online news site Chalkbeat reported Denver has more than 200 of them. But the impact is just as great in the small districts where, as you heard, the teacher shortage can be just as profound, if not worse. Math, science, and special ed positions are particularly hard to fill, and H-1B visa holders come in with specialized knowledge and training. 5% of staff in the Roaring Fork School District are on H-1B visas. In Eagle County Schools, 10 employees are on H-1B visas. Philip Qualman is the superintendent there.
The visa holders are willing to come here and work for what we're willing to pay and able to pay and take advantage of our affordable housing units.
And other districts tell me the visa holders are really crucial to helping dual language programs, helping kids learn in English and Spanish, for example. John Pandolfo is the superintendent in Telluride.
I do feel like students leave here with a higher level of global awareness and maybe multicultural empathy than students in a lot of locations would get because they see teachers of color in the hallways.
Telluride has prioritized helping all students be bilingual, and he says it helps close achievement gaps for kids from different backgrounds.
Jenny, what's the reason for these changes to the visa rules?
So this came from an order a couple of weeks ago. The stated reason is to support American workers and curb perceived abuse, especially in the tech industry. That's what most of the headlines have focused on. I mentioned that employers must now pay a $100,000 fee per foreign worker.
What have schools been paying?
Up until now, schools have only been paying a few $1,000s to get a visa, so this is a huge increase. The school districts I talked to say they can't possibly pay the new large fees. Here again is Sandra Ray from the Revere School District.
We would not be able to pay that. $100,000 is more than 2 salaries for our teachers.
The change in visa fees is not supposed to affect people who have a current visa. It's also not supposed to affect their efforts to renew or their ability to travel outside the country, though some districts I've talked to are advising their H-1B teachers not to travel. Educators I talked to wondered aloud whether anyone at the White House thought through what this fee change would mean for school districts. The National Superintendents Group is lobbying for a carve-out for schools because, as the rules are written now, they'll likely favor high-wage sectors trying to employ these visa workers.
CPR's Jenny Brundin, thank you.
You're welcome.
A Denver musician went from playing on the streets to playing in front of thousands at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Your salty skin, can it cleanse my sins?
What makes this story even crazier is that he got asked to perform by Maná, one of the largest rock bands in Latin America. I have the musician with me now, Michael Sess. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
How did they discover you? Start with that moment.
Well, it was a Sunday night. It was on Larimer Square. It was late. It was sometime after 9 p.m., and I was doing what I always do. I was just playing music, and I saw this group of guys walk by. They stopped. They started listening to me, and I could tell they were enjoying it. And then I realized they were musicians. Just their dress, the way they were looking at my guitar, my gear. Then after the second song, Fair, the lead singer, walked over to me and, complimented me and then asked me if I'd ever heard of a band called Maná. And I said, no.
How did they take that?
Those guys were, from start to finish, they were so kind, so humble. Those guys looked at me like a fellow musician. And that's what I saw when I met them, was fellow musicians. And, of course, I didn't realize that they were legendary rock stars. I think that allowed me to interact with them in a very gentle, human way. And they just told me, they said, hey, we're playing up at Red Rocks this Wednesday and Thursday. Why don't you come open for us?
Wow.
And I was in shock, honestly. And I said yes. And then I remember saying, I don't know if I could do it Wednesday. I had to get off of work.
My God. What did your boss say?
Well, so what I did was, after I said yes and I committed myself, I got on the phone with a couple of my crew at the restaurant. I said, hey, I need someone to cover me Wednesday. I've got this situation I got to deal with. That was how I phrased it.
What did it feel like walking to that microphone, walking to all those people? What was going through your head? What did you see?
Well, people are filling in. The place is filling up and filling up and filling up. And I walked out and people started cheering. I just waved, and then, I don't know, once I plugged in and I strummed, just kind of picked the strings a little bit, muscle memory, performance kind of just took over,
Everything kind of disappeared?
Yeah. And then I just kind of let it go. And it was amazing.
How did the applause, how did that feel?
Wonderful. I mean, people who know me know that I'm rarely at a loss for words, but the genuine love and excitement of it was just, something that I still honestly think about every day.
Maná actually shared your performance in their site, and you've gotten a lot of attention from that. It sounded like you were still working at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So this is not your full-time thing.
No.
So how's your life changed?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out day to day, to be honest with you. I am still in touch more or less on a daily basis with a few different people from, Maná's crew. and they're all so wonderful, and they've really taken me in and treated me like one of their own. I mean, just this past week, I was on the phone with somebody, and he said, brother, you're part of the Maná family now. Like, we all love you. And it's so profound to me.
Michael says that Red Rocks is one of the great temples of live music on the planet. But I had to know, are there things he loves just as much about playing on the street?
Playing on the street, playing at Larimer Square, one of the things that I really love is that I can stand in the street, and I can play a song, and that song will fill that block. And people who are just going about their business, whether they're coming from dinner, shopping, honestly, people, who live on the street, who are just walking through the block, it resonates, and it has an impact. It has an effect on people. It allows me to feel like I'm doing something for the city that I love.
Yeah.
And
you're the sound of the city in many ways.
Well, try to be the sound of Larimer Square,
Michael says, thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me this morning.
Let it in, and that's this sin. Now the tower crumbles down.
That's Michael Says, as in CEC. You can find his music on all streaming platforms. Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Caitlin Kim. Follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.